Dear all, welcome to the channel and story of Job, which is one of the most profound and powerful narratives of faith in the Bible. It delves into the depths of human suffering and the unwavering trust in God that can emerge from it. Job, a wealthy and righteous man, lived a life of prosperity and devotion. However, his faith was severely tested when he lost everything: his wealth, his children, and his health. Despite his immense suffering and the misguided counsel of his friends, Job never abandoned his faith in God. Instead, he questioned, lamented, and sought understanding, all while maintaining his integrity and trust in God's ultimate justice. Through Job's trials, the story explores themes of divine sovereignty, human suffering, and the mystery of God's ways. Job's profound declaration, "Though he slay me, yet will I hope in him," encapsulates the essence of his unwavering faith. His journey from prosperity through profound loss and back to restoration is a testament to the power of enduring faith and the belief that God's wisdom and justice transcend human understanding. The story of Job offers timeless lessons on perseverance, trust, and the deep, often mysterious, nature of divine grace and providence. Let's hear this story of Job. In the land of Uz, there lived a man named Job. He was blameless and upright, a man who feared God and shunned evil. Job was blessed with a large family, great wealth, and many possessions. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and his livestock numbered in the thousands: sheep, camels, oxen, and donkeys. Job was known as the greatest man among all the people of the East. Despite his prosperity, Job remained humble and devout, always seeking to honor God. He regularly offered sacrifices for his children, thinking, "Perhaps my children have sinned and cursed God in their hearts." This practice demonstrated Job's deep concern for righteousness and his commitment to God's commandments. One day, the heavenly beings came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. The Lord said to Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan answered, "From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it." Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil." Satan replied, "Does Job fear God for nothing? Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You have blessed the work of his hands so that his flocks and herds are spread throughout the land. But now stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face." The Lord said to Satan, "Very well, then, everything he has is in your power, but on the man himself do not lay a finger." With God's permission, Satan set out to test Job's faith. In a single day, calamity struck. A messenger came to Job and reported that the Sabaeans had attacked and carried off his oxen and donkeys, killing the servants. While he was still speaking, another messenger arrived, saying that fire from God had fallen from the sky and burned up the sheep and the servants. Before this messenger finished, a third came with news that the Chaldeans had raided Job's camels and made off with them, killing more servants. Lastly, a fourth messenger brought the most devastating news of all. A mighty wind had struck the house where Job's children were feasting, causing it to collapse and kill them all. In an instant, Job's world was turned upside down. His wealth, his servants, and his children were gone. Overwhelmed with grief, Job tore his robe and shaved his head, a traditional expression of mourning. Then he fell to the ground in worship and said, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked I will depart. The Lord gave and the Lord has taken away. May the name of the Lord be praised." Despite the magnitude of his loss, Job did not sin by charging God with wrongdoing. His faith remained steadfast, a testimony to his deep trust in God's sovereignty. Once again, the heavenly beings came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. The Lord asked Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan answered, "From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it." The Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil. And he still maintains his integrity, though you incited me against him to ruin him without any reason." Satan replied, Skin for skin, a man will give all he has for his own life. But now stretch out your hand and strike his flesh and bones, and he will surely curse you to your face." The Lord said to Satan, "Very well, then, he is in your hands, but you must spare his life." Satan afflicted Job with painful sores from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. Job took a piece of broken pottery and scraped himself with it as he sat among the ashes. His suffering was immense, both physically and emotionally. Job's wife, witnessing his misery, said to him, "Are you still maintaining your integrity? Curse God and die." Job replied, "You are talking like a foolish woman. Shall we accept good from God and not trouble?" In all this, Job did not sin in what he said. Job's 3 friends, Eliphaz the Temanite, Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite, heard about all the troubles that had come upon him. They set out from their homes and met together to go and sympathize with him and comfort him. When they saw Job from a distance, they could hardly recognize him. They began to weep aloud, tore their robes, and sprinkled dust on their heads. Then they sat on the ground with him for 7 days and 7 nights, without saying a word, because they saw how great his suffering was. After this period of silent mourning, Job finally spoke, expressing the depth of his anguish. He cursed the day of his birth and lamented his suffering. His friends, believing that his suffering must be a result of some hidden sin, tried to convince Job to repent and seek God's forgiveness. They argued that God is just and would not allow an innocent person to suffer so greatly. Job defended his innocence, insisting that he had done nothing to deserve such torment. He longed for an audience with God, where he could plead his case and seek understanding. Throughout these discussions, Job wrestled with the nature of God's justice and the mystery of human suffering. Despite his friends' accusations and his own intense suffering, Job's faith in God did not waver. He maintained his belief in God's ultimate justice and goodness. At one point, he declared, "Though he slay me, yet will I hope in him." Job 13 verse 15. This statement exemplified Job's unwavering trust in God, even in the face of unimaginable pain. Eventually, God answered Job out of a whirlwind. God did not provide a direct explanation for Job's suffering, but instead spoke of the wonders of creation and his infinite wisdom. God reminded Job of the vastness of his knowledge and the limitations of human understanding. Humbled by God's response, Job realized that he could not fully comprehend God's ways. Job replied, "I know that you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted." You asked, "Who is this that obscures my plans without knowledge?" Surely I spoke of things I did not understand, things too wonderful for me to know. You said, "Listen now, and I will speak. I will question you, and you shall answer me. My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. Therefore I despise myself and repent in dust and ashes." God then rebuked Job's friends for not speaking the truth about him as Job had. He instructed them to offer sacrifices and said that Job would pray for them, and God would accept Job's prayer on their behalf. Job's friends followed God's instructions, and Job prayed for them. After Job prayed for his friends, the Lord restored his fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before. His brothers and sisters and everyone who had known him before came and ate with him in his house. They comforted and consoled him over all the trouble the Lord had brought on him, and each one gave him a piece of silver and a gold ring. The Lord blessed the latter part of Job's life more than the former part. He had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 donkeys. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. Job's daughters were renowned for their beauty, and he granted them an inheritance along with their brothers. Job lived a long life, seeing his children and their children to the 4th generation. He died old and full of years. Job's story is one of unshakable faith in God amidst unimaginable suffering. It teaches us about the nature of true faith, which remains steadfast even when tested by the most severe trials. Job's endurance and trust in God's ultimate justice and goodness serve as a powerful example for all who face emotional pain and hardship. His life reminds us that, while we may not always understand the reasons for our suffering, we can trust in God's infinite wisdom and loving care. May your faith in God increase day by day. Stay safe and blessed, my friend. Have a good day.